I guess I'm just putting these on for just for giggles. Don't worry about it. Well, fade this music out. The Eagles are 2-0. See, this is where I need to just do like a 30 to 40 second Eagles, quote unquote, lack of a better word, rant, and produce it and put it on Reels and YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and get 1 million views, and then I'd never have to work again. But like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to speak for a little bit longer. Maybe I can put it in some AI program and make a promo out of it, which is what I really need to do. Hello, Mike. All right. So here's the deal. And I have to add, because I saw enough of this on social media to where I don't know if it's a loud minority, if it's how a lot of people feel. I can't tell you how to feel. I get told that all the time by my wife. I can't tell you how to feel, right? If you're up in arms or you're worried about the Eagles and their offense and Kevin Patullo and the play calling and Jalen Hurts and all that stuff, like, knock yourself out. You can be worried about it. Through 2 weeks, I have seen 2 impressive wins by the Eagles. 2 impressive wins by the Eagles. Last week, Dallas, and they were lucky to beat the Giants yesterday. But last week, I saw a Dallas team that came in here motivated and ready to prove the rest of the world wrong, because they traded Micah Parsons and they said, our season isn't over yet. And they came out and their offense was clicking, and the Eagles went score for score with them. The Eagles offense that everybody's complaining about, the offensive coordinator, Jalen Hurts, the offense went score for score with the Cowboys last week. And then what happened? Then they had a field goal, and then the weather delay came, and then it was pretty much the end of the game. Yesterday, against a team, a team that has never lost 3 games with Patrick Mahomes, 3 games in a row with Patrick Mahomes as the quarterback. And they didn't have wide receivers, and that offense is a shell of itself. And thank you, Travis Kelce, for dropping that ball. Otherwise, it might be a totally different game. But it happened. And the Eagles took advantage of it because they have players that don't drop an interception. Makuba takes it, and then he goes 40 yards the other way. So I'm not going to apologize for the Eagles winning games. That's a tough spot to win. Going to Kansas City, going to Arrowhead, it's a loud stadium. You heard that early in the game. And the Eagles didn't panic. All they did was they went out there and they played their game. And there wasn't one time yesterday that I was watching this game that I said, oh, the Eagles are going to lose this. I don't feel good about this game. The Eagles were in control of the game for the entire game. They were in control the entire game. They run the ball 4 yards a clip. They get it to 3rd and 2. They do the tush push. They get the first down. They threw the ball little. They didn't take shots. They didn't take chances. They didn't put the ball in harm's way. Do you remember what the Eagles did last year? And it was so unspectacular that people said you can't continue to win like this. And at some point, I said they can continue to win like this. And they just did that all the way to the Super Bowl. They continued to win in the unspectacular fashion that nobody wants them to do. Everybody wants them to go out there and throw the ball for 400 yards and fun. And let's go. Another big splash play, 42-7. Yeah, let's go. That's not this team. And they don't try to do it. Conservative play calling. On the 3rd and long in the second half, they did a draw play to Saquon Barkley because it was 3rd and long. They're like, yeah, we'll punt it. We'll stop them. And they did stop them. Never a doubt yesterday. And they don't have to play spectacular football right now. This is the way they won the Super Bowl last year. What are we doing? Why are we complaining? This is how they won last year. Controlling the ball, Saquon Barkley, playing great defense, not making mistakes, moving the chains, tush push, Super Bowl. It's how they won last year. Why are people freaking out? Also last year, go ahead and look at the early games. Last year it was different because you were coming off of 2023. And in 2023, the season fell apart. You had a new coordinator. You had to bring in Kellen Moore. So you had to ask yourself, like, what's going on? So at the beginning of the season last year, and I'm pulling up the results, and I remember, I'm old enough to remember it, everybody. Unspectacular. So they come out and they beat, why is this always so difficult to do? They come out and they beat the Packers, and they look great beating the Packers, right? In Brazil. They come home, lose to the Falcons, score 21 points. They beat the Saints. They only scored 15 points beating the Saints. And then they get smoked by the Buccaneers 33-16. At that point, there was a lot of people going into that game against the Browns, including me, that said, hey, if they lose to the freaking Browns, Nick Sirianni might get whacked. Too much talent on this team, and you were coming off of 2023. Too much talent on this team, and whoop, I don't know. They beat the Browns 20-16. Again, not in spectacular fashion, but they still beat them. New offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, was just kind of getting to know his personnel. And how much do you use Saquon Barkley? How much do you throw Jalen Hurts? And then in the middle of the season, they settled into, hey, this is how we're going to play, and this is how we're going to win. And they continued to do it, and they continued to win games. And everybody was mad about it because they couldn't throw the ball enough for people's liking or whatever else. But they continued to win games. They did the same thing yesterday to Kansas City. Not that they were toying with them, because that's not the correct way to describe it. They controlled the ball. They got first downs. They got stops on defense. They scored when they needed to score. Yeah, got a little bit close there at the end, but they had a two possession lead. It afforded them there. I don't know how the hell they give up that late touchdown. But so it's not that there's not stuff to complain about, but at what point do we give this team the benefit of the doubt? They just won a Super Bowl and had the best year in franchise history. They were beating the Chiefs 34-0 in the Super Bowl. And they played like this the entire year. It's not how we want them to win. It's how they want to win. And they wanted to win the same way last year that they won yesterday. And it's good enough for me. And as Kevin Patullo, who, as an offensive coordinator, and I know he's been with the staff, this is his first time calling plays. So you got to give him a little bit of room to grow and to realize this is his first time doing this. And by week 6, week 7, week 8, I think you're going to see a little bit more creativity. You may see some more shots down the field. But as it stands right now, I want wins. I want W's. And they went into Arrowhead yesterday with a team with a Super Bowl pedigree that had never lost 3 games in a row with Patrick Mahomes as the quarterback, that is desperate to not go 0-2 in the season. And the Eagles went in there and they beat them. And there was never a doubt. They didn't have the lead the entire game, but did it look like that they were freaking out when they gave up a touchdown to the Chiefs? At any point yesterday, did it feel like that the Eagles weren't in control of that game? It didn't to me. So if you want Jalen Hurts to throw for 300 yards a game, or you want your quarterback to throw for 350 and get lots of fantasy points throwing the ball and all this other stuff, then maybe you should go follow another team, because that's not this team. Saquon Barkley, he wasn't spectacular yesterday. 4 yards to carry. They kept giving it to him. They kept giving it to him. They kept giving it to him. Because then there's no interceptions. There's no turnovers. Taking care of the ball. This is what they did last year. And if you were the one saying, like me, probably for half the year, I said, you can't win like this. You can't win by running the football and playing great defense. You need to be able to throw. When the other team's going to say, you have to beat us by throwing, you got to be able to do it. They proved they could do that. They're not going to win the way that you want them to win if you have complaints. They're going to win the way that they want to win. And I would say that it's working pretty well. Oh, my God, man. And again, I don't know. I don't know if some of it is because talk radio needs the other side to freak out. And again, I'll say it. Fans are entitled to be pissed. Fans are entitled to be worried. Fans are entitled to be whatever they want to be. You're a fan. And I don't think you're crazy or anything like that. But man, I like being an Eagle fan right now. I love being an Eagle fan of this team. Love it. I love Jalen Hurts as my quarterback. I don't care if he throws for 100 yards. I love Nick Sirianni being my head coach. I don't care if they don't have a fancy offense. This is a high school offense, as some people say. You know what? It's a friggin' effective high school offense, too. How about that? What are people saying here? Why Steen was calling out blocking assignments, making Jalen mad. This is Bill. You texted me yesterday, Bill. Sorry, you caught me in the middle of stuff. I don't care. So Bill's my buddy. Bill texted me yesterday and said, if I know somebody to ask questions at press conferences, can I ask them why it was taking so long getting to the line of scrimmage and why I don't care. You worry about that. After losses, I'll care. Man, the defense was great again yesterday, right? This is a team. This is how they won a Super Bowl last year. I don't give a damn about Steen calling out plays or taking too long to get to the side. Whatever. All they do is win. Do you realize what they did last year? What are we doing? They won a Super Bowl. They were blowing out the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Like this, except they decided, hey, we're going to throw the ball. We're going to air it out. They're daring us to throw the ball. We're going to do it. Man, unbelievable. John, you're on the radio. Don't scream at us. Sorry, Adam. I'm not screaming at you. I'm screaming with you. I love this stuff. I do. I like, believe me, just because I'm not doing talk radio right now doesn't mean that I don't get pissed when they lose. Doesn't mean that I don't get pissed during games. Doesn't mean that I won't be pissed after a win, right? It's okay to be pissed after a win. I'm not saying it's not. I've been pissed after a win many times. Right now, it's not the time. Didn't they just win the Super Bowl doing the same thing? Don't they have a new offensive coordinator just like they did last year? Look at the beginning of last year. Look at the beginning of last year and how the offense was struggling to put up points. And I remember some people that have cooler heads that said, hey, Kellen Moore, this is his first year with the organization. Got to give him a little bit of time. Preseason is kind of non-existent, right? That first game, a lot of times is the first significant action that the guys are seeing on the field at the same time. I woke up this morning feeling great about being an Eagle fan. Not questioning stuff, not worried about Jalen Hurts, not worried about this offense, not worried about any, what are you worried about? Everybody, pinch yourself. This is the best era of Eagles football in franchise history, in all likelihood, for us older guys out there. And I guess I can call myself an older guy right now. For what we lived through post 1980 Super Bowl, in the 80s and the 90s, and the success, but ultimately disappointment of Donovan McNabb and Andy Reid. Yeah, I said it. Was disappointing. They won a Super Bowl, right? And to win a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback, which I don't want to say is fluky, but you know what I mean. And now to have actually built something where you have a young core of studs. You have an owner that just spends money on everybody, signs everybody. You have a great offensive line. You have a young defense. And you don't have a perfect team. It's not a perfect team. It's a great team. It's not a perfect team. You show me the perfect team in the NFL. You tell me the better team in the NFL right now. There may be a better team in the NFL. And the game this week against the Rams ain't going to be easy. That's for sure. Because the Rams are a good team and they got payback on their minds coming in here on Sunday. I feel great. And I'll tell you another thing. They're going to ban the tush push. There is no doubt about it. They didn't do it last year. It is good as gone. You can't stop the Eagles with it. You can't stop them. And there was a touchdown on that one tush push. And I know that there was false starts and things like that. And that's probably going to be emphasized and they're going to get called on that. So the Eagles better clean that part of it up. But if you get 2nd and 6 to a 3rd and 3 or a 3rd and 2, they're going to get a first down almost every time. And you know that as a defense. So then what do? Now you're trying to stop them from getting 4 yards at a clip. That's tough. You can't do that. I know that passing offense isn't what a lot of people like in the modern day NFL. That's fine. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. You know what I like? I like winning. I thought yesterday was a great game. They just controlled the ball. They're going to just keep the ball first down. They're going to punt the ball if they had to. They're going to kick field goals if they had to. They're going to score a touchdown. You know, Devontae had that big catch that kind of gave him a little bit of breathing room. So absolutely, positively, zero issues with the Eagles. So I would just offer this advice, and then you can do whatever you want to. But if you're feeling any type of angst or anger or whatever after watching the first 2 weeks of the Eagles, then man, I'm living a much better life than you. Because in week 6, if they lose a couple games, I'll be right there with you. But there isn't any reason to believe that that's going to happen. There isn't any reason to believe that when we're in January, we're not talking about the Eagles being favorites to go back to another Super Bowl. There's good teams in the NFL, and a lot can happen between now and then. And long season, week-to-week season, long season. The Eagles are going to lose games. But when I watch this team, I see a team that isn't rattled by anything, that isn't worried about anything, and knows what their assignment is. End of the game yesterday, Chris Jones is like, yeah, you don't even have bleeping 100 yards. Well, you know what? That's your trophy, Chris Jones. That's your trophy, brother. You held Saquon Barkley to 100 yards and you lost, and now you're 0-2. And that's the other thing. That's a really, really tough spot for the Eagles. That's why when you look at a schedule, you don't know how it plays out because you don't know the injuries, but you also don't know the role of the schedule. So sometimes you have sandwich games. Sometimes you don't know one of your opponents is maybe coming off a very emotional win across the country on Monday Night Football or something like that, right? So the Chiefs lose to the Chargers. They didn't look good, and they're coming back staring down the barrel of being 0-2. And the Eagles just went out there and played their game. They played their game. This is their game. There'll be weeks they open it up a little bit more. There will be. They tried to get AJ Brown the ball early in the game, and they did. Right? They made the concerted effort. It was smart. It wasn't a perfect game. It's the best team in the NFL. Everybody, enjoy it. Enjoy it. What else do we got here? Yeah, you know what? Yeah, it'd be great to have Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen until they're losing in the playoffs and you're not back in the Super Bowl. Like, I mean, come on. Lamar Jackson's an amazing player. I'm actually a big Lamar Jackson fan. He can get all the MVPs he wants. He can't get past a certain part in the playoffs. I hope the Ravens go to the Super Bowl just so we can stop talking about it. He didn't do it. Josh Allen's an amazing talent. Remember, I took Josh Allen over Wentz. If you listen to me on the radio with Ike, I took Josh Allen over Wentz, and I got killed. I got death threats in email and direct messaging because at that point, going into the 2019 season, after what I saw in 2018, I thought Carson Wentz was vastly overrated based on what he did in 2017. And I really like Josh Allen. I did know this kid's unbelievable. And I didn't realize Wentz was going to deteriorate like that, but I took Josh Allen over Wentz. All right. So I know something about quarterbacks, or I'm just lucky. There you go. What else do we have here? Oh, we got Jay Nice. Yeah. Like what else do people want? They want to win 40-7. Okay, sure. I would like that too. I would love to see the backups in there playing and Jalen said they didn't do a lot of that last year. Remember? All right, here's the Eagles wins last year. 34-29 over the Packers. They lost to the Falcons. That game sucked. They beat the Saints 15-12. They lost to the Buccaneers, got smoked 33-16. They beat the Browns. Blowout win against the Giants 28-3. And then this is kind of where people started shifting, being like, all right, maybe they are good. Smoked the Bengals 37-17. Beat the Jags, but it wasn't, if I remember correctly, the passing offense wasn't great. It wasn't a great win, but they beat the Jags at home. 34-6 over the Cowboys, 26-18 over the Commanders. Blew out the Rams on the road. Saquon was running all over the place. Beat the Ravens. That was a close game. That was a good game. Good, hard-fought win. Barely beat the Panthers. They were lucky to beat them, right? Beat the Steelers, and that Steelers game was coming off where A.J. Brown was like, what's wrong? He said the passing offense. Didn't say anything about Jalen Hurts. And then Brandon, BG, goes on WIP on his show and says that they're not friends, they didn't like each other, whatever. And all hell breaks loose. 27-13, they came out and they passed the ball. They lost to the Commanders. That was the game where Jalen got hurt. Smoked the Cowboys, beat the Giants, and that was the last game of the season. So I remember during the year, everybody was complaining, oh, they're not blowing teams out. The games are too close. You can't win like this. At some point, I shifted. I don't know when this was. At one point, I shifted because I'll admit it. I used to mock people when like somebody's grandfather would call in on the radio and say, you know how you win the Super Bowl? You play great defense and you run the football. And I'd be like, ha, 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 ha. It's not 1987, dude. That's not how you win Super Bowls. The Eagles won a Super Bowl by playing great defense and running the football. And Jalen had a spectacular throwing game in the Super Bowl, but it holds true. That's what this Eagles team is. I don't think they're evolving past that. Why should they? It's effective. When the tush push isn't around anymore, maybe they will evolve more as a passing team. They don't need to right now. So get used to it. Everybody get used to it. Yeah, the Chiefs are not, but look at their team. The Chiefs are not very good. They do have a very good defense. They've been a defensive team the last couple of years. That's a good defense. Eagles' schedule is brutal. They will lose some games, but it is yeah. What's up? What else do we have here? PTSD from the 2023 collapse. No, you don't get the your elixir for the PTSD from the 2023 collapse is the 2024 Super Bowl. Doing it the exact same way. This is a carbon copy of how they started the year last year. Except they won the second game. They didn't lose. I'm sorry. Don't they have a look of a team that knows they're not going to lose? Don't they? Don't they have a look of a team that doesn't give an F on defense, on offense? Jalen is comfortable throwing for 100 yards in a game and getting rushing touchdowns, right? Hopefully AJ's okay with not having 14 or 1,500 passing yards. I even said going into the season, I thought that they were going to have to throw the ball more this year, and I expected them to throw the ball more this year. And there's 15 games left, so what they're doing right now doesn't mean they're going to be doing this in 3-4 weeks. At some point, they're going to have to air the ball out, but like they're not going to be pressured into it because national analysts or knuckle dragging fans want Jalen Hurts to throw the ball for 350 yards. I don't care. Man, if they didn't win the Super Bowl like this last year, it's open game. It's fair game. It's a real question. It's not a real question now. They just did it. Oh my God. People are crazy. Offense is extremely vanilla. Yeah, it was last year too. And again, new offensive coordinator, first time calling plays. Keep it simple, stupid. It's how I've built my career, honestly, on the radio. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I have above average intelligence, right? But I'm determined, and I keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. They're 2-0. They're not turning the ball over. I have no worries at all. So aesthetically, is it pleasing? Does it scratch whatever that lobe is in your brain? Scratches mine. That's for sure. And what else do we have here? Yeah, absolutely, Bill. Yeah, like listen, here's what I know about Jalen. He don't give an F. He doesn't give an F. You're talking about you. Everybody wants to rank him, or is he top 5 or this or that or whatever? Oh, yeah. You could have Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. This dude wins. Now, if he was a Bill, would they win? Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't Jalen Hurts win? I mean, like, everybody says that they have this, the talent so much or whatever. Are they really utilizing the wide receivers? Like, what are we talking about here? They have a great offensive line. They have Saquon Barkley. Yesterday, they had Kyle Katerra And whoever that other tight end that they got, I don't even know his name yet. I said, I'm happy. I'm happy as hell right now. I am. So I am going to go mow my lawn because it's extremely long. And I have to pick up my daughter from preschool in about an hour. But look out. There are continued rumors that I could be back in the sports radio business at some point. Now, I can't confirm these rumors, but they are out there. Everybody keeps telling me that that's the case. So continue to look for those rumors and continue to look because something tells me I may be popping up somewhere sometime soon. All right. Make sure you're subscribing. If you're watching this on Twitter, subscribe to my YouTube, John Marks Media, JONMARKS Media. Right there. You can see it in the corner of the screen. All right. So that's going to be happening soon. Oh, there's my Guys Not From Philly podcast. Go Birds. Need you back. I will be back. WIP doesn't need to be saved, man. WIP is doing just great. Their ratings are spectacular. All right, everybody. I will talk to you later, maybe even tonight. Peace.